Let's talk about how Southeast Asia's profit generation model has evolved over the past couple of years. Many things have changed since the start of the pandemic. The world is no longer the same. New rules have been applied, and I wanted to point out some of these new rules, and I also wanted to help you determine whether or not it makes sense for you to move to Southeast Asia as an investor, as an entrepreneur, as a perpetual tourist. And there are a couple of options that I'm going to discuss with you today. Let's get started with the first country, Vietnam. In my opinion, Vietnam is the country that witnessed some of the biggest changes. The Vietnam that we saw pre-pandemic, so before the whole madness happened, was a country that was really open to pretty much anybody that was a citizen of one of the countries that Vietnam has a treaty with, meaning you could have applied for a visa before coming into the country, and it was pretty easy for you to get in with a 3-month multi-entry visa, with a 12-month visa. There were many great visas available at that time. Fast forward to today, the situation has changed drastically. The 3-month and 12-month visas are no longer available, and all you get right now is a 30-day tourist visa. This has changed very recently. So if you're a new expat, digital nomad, investor, entrepreneur who has the desire to live in Vietnam, you probably find the new rules not very interesting. In order for you to come in on a 30-day tourist visa, definitely going to take some money, right? Travel expenses, going to take time, preparation, flights, and so forth. And to come in for just 30 days isn't really worth the hassle. And then you could leave for a couple of days, come back in. Many people don't want to put up with that. People want something that's more long-term. 3 months was a good option, especially since it was extendable. It was pretty easy to do. Nowadays, with the 30 days, I think so many people reject this possibility because they don't want to put in the effort and spend the money to get there, so they look at different places. Should you be a business owner or an investor, Vietnam has plenty of options for you. One of my friends picked up a 2-year renewable residence permit, but he had to incorporate a company in Vietnam, pick up a work permit, sponsor himself, and that's how he obtained this 2-year renewable residence permit. What remains unclear is, of course, the conditions needed in order to renew this visa. He's not sure about that. He's not sure whether his business needs to generate some volume in order for him to renew this visa once the 2 years are up. He doesn't know any of that. As I accumulate more information from my personal friend, I'm definitely going to let you know about that in the not so distant future. But here we can see that getting a 2-year residence permit, certainly interesting, but we also know that the process of getting the residence permit is everything but easy. However, I would say that in Vietnam it's easier than other places because the medical certificate and also the background check are actually 2 things that you get done inside Vietnam. Unlike other countries that require a criminal record certificate from your country of residence or citizenship, Vietnam only requires a local police record, right? A local criminal record certificate. So you get the clearance. Much easier to do. You fly in and you get all of that done while you're in the country. The downside is, of course, in order to get the business incorporated, open up a bank account, there are many steps involved. You gotta deposit money, you gotta follow all the details, all the documentation. So it definitely takes a couple of months to do that. If you fly in as a tourist and you get a 30-day tourist visa, you likely have to leave the country for a month or 2 months before you come back in order to pick up that residence permit. Is Vietnam a good place to set up a company? And the answer is, it all depends. It really depends on the nature of your business. If you represent a marketing agency, if you represent a manufacturing company, outsourcing firm, it could be a good place. It depends on what skills you need in order to run your business. Vietnam has a very, very low minimum hourly wage. Very, very low. So it could be a great place to set up a business because technically you can pay people as little as $1 or $2 an hour if you want to do that. And that's of course good if you want to run a local business. Before I pointed out that Vietnam could be good for a marketing agency that operates software because Vietnamese have pretty good at operating software. And also if you have something like a manufacturing business, if you manufacture something, Vietnam could be a good place for that as well. Or if you run some kind of local business and you want to employ very inexpensive labor, then Vietnam could also be a fantastic place for that. But it's not a great place for everything. It's a great place for certain types of businesses, just like any other country is as well. You want to be competitive. You want to look at competitive salaries, competitive wages. You want to have access to a talented work pool, and that really depends on the nature of your business, as I already pointed out. Another country I wanted to talk about is Malaysia, a country that's gained a great reputation over the years. We do know that Malaysia changed its visa policies drastically, and what we have witnessed during the pandemic was a period where Malaysia restructured the Malaysia My Second Home program, and the country is now looking for much higher earning individuals, for people with a much higher pension. And there's specific reasons as to why this happened, things that I don't really want to point out in this video. However, I'm going to say that Malaysia is looking to capture the higher end of things. As of right now, Malaysia also has a 20-year residence permit that's available to you. However, the processing fees for this residence permit are pretty high. Malaysia launched a visa for tycoons, so people with a high net worth, and some of the requirements are actually quite similar to the Malaysia My Second Home program. However, certain things are actually quite different. And what I'm referring to here are the processing fees and also the visa length. The processing fees are actually pretty high, 200,000 ringgit for the main applicant. So that's roughly like $50,000, $45,000, something like that. Plus, if you bring a dependent with you, it's an extra 100,000 ringgit for each dependent. During the pandemic, I personally tried to apply for the Malaysia Tech Entrepreneur Program because I'm an entrepreneur. I run marketing agencies, and I thought it was going to be useful if I picked up that visa. However, there were so many changes happening during the pandemic. The first thing that happened, and it happened literally as I was applying for this specific program, what happened was that the government decided to pause the Malaysia Tech Entrepreneur Program to stop the spread of COVID. They didn't want anybody to come in, and since the program was paused, it also paused my application. So it postponed it for many months. It was paused, I don't know for how long, but it postponed it for many months, and so I kind of had to wait until it reopened. Once the Malaysia Tech Entrepreneur reopened, I continued with my application until I figured out that my specific niche, my specific industry was not eligible for this specific visa. Of course, that hit me hard because I thought, well, it was actually allowed. And when I took a look at the website, it actually didn't say anything that marketing agencies are not allowed. It just said that freelancers are not allowed, but it didn't say anything about marketing agencies. But then I kind of realized that they were looking for more innovative businesses. Blockchain technology businesses, so blockchain companies, crypto companies, green energy companies, right? Anything innovative. They were looking for very innovative businesses. If you take a look at a marketing agency, there isn't really anything innovative at all. It's a very common business. It exists pretty much in any country, and there are, I don't know how many marketing agencies in the entire world, probably tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands at this point. So it isn't really a business that Malaysia wants. Malaysia also paused the Malaysia My Second Home program to reopen it with quadrupled income requirements later on. And existing pass holders were told that they had to meet the new requirements in order to remain in the country. However, that decision was later on reversed by the government, so existing pass holders no longer need to meet the new requirements. However, we can see definitely a lot of changes. Something I also wanted to add is that Malaysia launched the Rantau Digital Nomad Visa, which is pretty interesting for somebody who earns at least $20,000 a year, so that's $2,000 a month. And if you can prove that you had that income for at least a couple of months, you may qualify for Malaysia's Rantau Digital Nomad Visa. The Philippines is among the few countries that did not change its tourist visa policy at all. And if you want to go to the Philippines, the retirement visa program is still pretty much the same as it was pre-pandemic. Like I said, the tourist visa system is still the same. So if people are looking for a country that's reliable, right? A country that offers a reliability, maybe the Philippines is the place to go. People feel secure, people feel like they know what's going to happen, and that may be the better place for you in case that you want to remain a perpetual visitor to the Philippines, and in case you want to retire in the Philippines, then I think the country definitely has a lot to offer. What about Thailand? Has anything changed in Thailand? When it comes to the tourist visa system, I don't think much has changed since the pandemic. However, we can see more programs launched by the Thai government. If we take a look at the Thai Smart Visas, there are many options available They exist for startup entrepreneurs, they exist for investors, they exist for people with special talents, they exist for executives, right? So they have really many smart visas that people can apply for. However, when we look at the statistics, we can see that very few people actually picked up the smart investor, executive, special talent visas over the past 3.5 years. It was a period from 2018 all the way to 2021. Very few people picked up these visas, with the exception of the startup entrepreneur visa, which in my humble opinion definitely offers the lowest barrier of entry. If we take a look at the investor visa, we can see that a direct investment through venture capital is needed. The minimum amount is 20 million Thai baht. That is the minimum that you need to invest in order to qualify for the Smart Investor Visa. There's another option here. If you want to get the Smart Investor Visa, you can invest more than 5 million Thai baht into a local startup. So if you do that, then you may also qualify for the Smart Investor Visa for Thailand. Now that we talked about how the profit generation model evolved over the past couple of years, the main question is, what are you going to do? We discussed the business side of things. We know that there are certain business visas, investment visas available, also retirement visas, right? But the main question is, how does this affect your personal life? Are you okay investing in a country where you have no path to citizenship, where you have no path to owning property? And I'm not specifically talking about Vietnam, we're talking about Thailand. Very difficult options. The visa side of things for running a business might not be a problem. Working there, making money with your business might be amazing. You might make a lot of money. What about your personal needs? Do you feel comfortable investing in a country where you have no path to citizenship, where you have no chance to own property? I'm not saying that's the case with all the countries we discussed, but it certainly is the case with some countries. That's the question that you need to ask yourself. From a business side, yeah, you might be able to make a lot of money. You might be able to open up the right company, hire people, and build an amazing business that generates a lot of profit. That side might be taken care of, but what about the personal side? Which of the discussed visa options appeals to you the most? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Consider subscribing if you haven't already. I'm uploading new videos on digital nomad locations, travel updates, and investment advice several times a week right now. And if you got some more time left, check out these videos. Thank you for watching.